cycle update. Slow rugging, jacking all your crypto. No one else in the whole wide world can save you, girl. To properly process what it is that I'm sharing, one must set aside what they see and simply go off of common sense logic. CryptoTalk.fm, my name is Leicester. I'm your host. A follow-on, I don't know how legitimate the post is, so don't come at me. I'm sharing what I see, whether or not it's legit or not, because apparently it's a post in Telescam, which I'm not going to. If you go to Telescam and you like Telescam, feel free to go out to Telescam, take a look at the post that they're talking about. And if you have any additional information, please let us know, CryptoTalk.fm. Because real adults, we talk email, right? And so you fill out the form, contact us directly. You have information to share, then we can communicate over email like grown adults because we don't do Telescam. A message was sent out allegedly by way of Telescam. It says the, quote, Decentralized Community Telescam channel. I don't know what that means. I'm just sharing. I'm literally reading off screen. But ostensibly, it says that it's a post from Jeremy, from BDAG, formerly from BDAG. First of all, we don't know if it's really Jeremy. Second, we don't know if it's a legitimate post or it could be another subterfuge. Look it up from the person behind BDAG. We don't know. But here's what it says, and I'm going to go section by section and provide my thoughts. Again, I don't know if it's legit, so don't come at me. This person is summarizing what Jeremy said, so there may be additional context they did not share. I don't know if that's true, but if they did, again, hit the comments below. CryptoTalk.fm, hit the contact form if there's additional context behind what's said. I suspect there's not, but just in case there is. It says, quote, he and his team and the former CEO, which I'm assuming is Nick, followed a specific roadmap. Whenever they were close to making real progress towards completion, would order them to stop. Pause. Now, let's analyze this. So you're following a roadmap. If you're following a roadmap, who created the roadmap? Did Nick create the roadmap? Did Giggles create the roadmap? If Giggles created the roadmap, why would he tell you to stop? If you're making progress on stuff he told you to do, why would he tell you to stop? One might think, oh, he's just creating artificial progress to give the illusion of things happening. Let's assume that's true. If you're creating the illusion that things are happening, to what end? Keep going. Quote, they, as in presumably Jeremy and Nick, repeatedly requested funding for development and salaries, but evaded these requests, forcing them to sell their own tokens to finance the project. Pause. Now, we would understand from both Liza as well as Marius Bach that the one thing that started them beefing was the fact they weren't getting paid. We also understand Turner had stopped getting paid. We understand a whole bunch of people stopped getting paid. So why is it then that presumably Nick and Jeremy would think that they were going to continue to get paid when we already have evidence that former staff didn't get paid? Like, do you understand what I'm getting at here? If we have staff on record saying we got paid and then it stopped, why would you assume then that you're going to get paid? This tells me, and likely more so Nick than Jeremy, but this tells me you're dealing with people who just listen to the guy, tell them it's different with you guys. Okay. We had the money. I'll pay you. I promise I'll pay you. And they fall for it. That means there was no allegiance under Turner's regime. That means basically they were just all Wild West inside that motherfucker. They weren't allied with each other. They were not on each other's side and basically probably cutting each other. Who knows? You might have people getting overpaid versus underpaid on sides. Because when you've got people who are allegedly paid and then allegedly not paid, and then these other people decide to stay allegedly paid, or maybe they were promised to be paid. Why would you listen to the promise when you saw your former coworkers not getting paid? Shouldn't that have been a red flag? Shouldn't you have said, man, bounce this noise because I don't trust you, dude? Why? Jeremy on frequent messaging has said, no, I committed to doing this. This is my quote, baby, etc. I'm not even going to go about the Argus About It report and the other project he was part of. It's not relevant here. The point is something's not clicking because your coworkers did not get paid and that was their main beef. So why did you think that you were going to get paid and it was different with you? That's the point I'm trying to make. That rhymes. Quote, they, presumably Jeremy and Nick, asked Giesels to deploy pre-sale wallets, but he vehemently refused. Giesels repeatedly refused to halt pre-sales and provide any liquidity for trading. When the price rose slightly, new pre-sales were launched to drive down the trading price and keep funds flowing only to the website pause. Now, we understand that there was no liquidity given to exchanges. However, Nick is on record on audio saying that they did load liquidity to exchanges. So that means Nick lied for Giesels. And now all of a sudden it's a problem when allegedly they're asking for it. Why did Nick lie then? Stop me, okay? Nick, he's on audio saying that we're loading liquidity, we're giving the liquidity. Why did you say that then? If it's true that you asked for it and you were denied it, then why did you tell the community that it happened? Why did you tell the community that you did do it? Remember, Weebot had to expose you with your pants down and Vaseline off the side, telling everybody what you didn't do, which is unstable RPCs, and they didn't get any liquidity. None of that happened. Nick was lying to you the whole time. Now, he might say, he told me to lie. Maybe he did. This goes to integrity. Why would you want to work for somebody who's telling you to lie to people? If you cared about your own, same with Jeremy, why would you want to work for somebody who's telling you to lie? Why would you want to work to somebody where your coworkers aren't getting paid and all he's giving you is a promise you're going to get paid and then you're begging to get paid and he's still telling you no? Why would you continue believing him? None of it makes any sense. That's my point. Trying to keep funds flowing to the website. We knew that was happening. The question is why? In my other update, I said it doesn't make sense that you would want a low ass fucking price. Because what's the end game? What's the goal here? There's no real goal here, except when you hear one thing he said in one of the audio. He basically said, we're going to keep him inside. Guys, we're going to keep him inside. So he wants to keep him in the ecosystem. This exposes what's in his mind that's faulty. It's the same shit that the SHIB ecosystem tried to do, which is you could just do everything in here. You don't need a Uniswap. You don't need all these others. We got everything inside here. And the end game is our own centralized exchange where you can do everything all in one and you don't need to go with those other tools. Okay, let's just assume, spitball, that that's what he was trying to do. Then why not be upfront honest about it from the jump? Meaning, if you get in this pre-sale, understand you're not getting back out. Because if people really believed in it, it wouldn't matter. But the thing is, people expect it because that's what they communicated, that you're going to get on central exchanges. Central exchanges makes the assumption that it is a free trade system. They then launched central exchanges after firing Turner. Why all of a sudden are you trying to do this inside job that you're rushing to? What changed? I'll speculate what I think changed. I don't know for sure, but I'll speculate what I think changed. What I think changed is what I said before, kids in a candy store that rhymes, of them playing around with AI that gives them the impression that pretty much anything can be built. And so fuck it. We'll just create our own exchange. We'll create our own Uniswap. We'll create our own casino. We'll create our own AI. We'll create our own everything. We don't need them. We can create our own stuff. Tell me where you're not seeing that pattern. Now, the flaw is they're not communicating that that's the intent. They're not communicating that's the plan. And most importantly, they're not allowing people to opt out of it. His mind is, if you bought in, you're in for as long as it takes for me to admit failure, which he never will do, or succeed. Remember, persistence beats resistance. This is the mindset. If I'm right, he's just trying to lock everybody in, which means he doesn't want people to leave at all, that he wants continual revenue. But then that contradicts the price that you see and undercutting the market. Because consider, there's, I believe, 19 billion tokens allocated to the team. If we accept what's being said here as far as they need to sell their own tokens, coins, in order to be able to make anything, That means is not part of the 19 billion. Well, where's his profit coming from? Where's his money coming from? And on the other piece, why would you not allocate a slice for yourself? Then do what you need to do to pump that price. Because guess what? He said he put 14 million in the project. A total of 19 billion coins. If you managed to get the price to 40 cents, which they did, and you sustained it long enough, they would have walked away with close to $8 billion on the up and up, above the board, straight and narrow, without pissing people off, because everybody else would have been able to do it. If they had done free trade, I'm saying, not blocking, not Like, this is why I'm saying and have said, you're dealing with people that don't know what the fuck they're doing, because he's doing it backwards. He's doing the SHIB model, which is the fucked up model, instead of the right model, which is, look, let's get it out there. Let's make it free market and let's get the price up, even if it means we make it a meme. That rhymes. This is what smart people do, is you look for an opportunity to get the price to go up and then they capitalize on it. Not what he's doing, which is the complete antithesis of what everybody's looking for. And that's why people are pissed off now. Quote, every time they tried to contract with a mining hardware manufacturer, objected to the terms and refused to pay, causing the deals to fall through. Pause. I actually don't have a problem with this if it's true. The question is, we don't know what the terms are or were to understand if they were unacceptable or not. The problem is when you announce to the community, as they did repeatedly, the miners on the way, the miners shipping now. Look, we got miners. Repeatedly from Nick, constantly from Turner, multiple times from Jesus. So how can you say this is happening, it's going to happen, it's coming, we're shipping now, you're going to get your shit, How can that be? This would seem to imply that there's multiple different manufacturers, that each manufacturer gave them like a sample. We'll give you a sample of 5, a sample whatever the fuck, and then they give them a contract, and there's something in the contract that doesn't like. Chances are it's a minimum commitment, because that's usually how it works. Usually they'll say, if we're going to do this for you, you got to buy at least X. And I'm going to guess it's probably a minimum of about 100,000-ish, because they got to make it worth their while. My guess is, if I'm right, and I don't know that I am because I haven't seen the terms, but my guess is that they had a minimum purchase amount. He didn't like that. He didn't like being beholden to some commit that required a dollar amount that he wasn't comfortable committing, as we know. And so he backed off the deal. And then, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, he's starting to understand that every single manufacturer does the same thing. They all have the minimum threshold, if I'm right, and I don't know that I am, whatever the term is, but I think it's minimum threshold. They all have some minimum. They all have to have some sort of standard. That's just the way the shit works. But because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, he didn't do due diligence before doing it. So then you get the samples. You like the samples. You announce to the community because you're excited about it before you read the terms and conditions. The same thing that the car salesman on Safe Food did with Change Now, where he announced the deal's done, and then a day later, well, the partnership's gone deep. This is why I say that this guy is following the same script as everybody else that has been. They all do the same shit. It's the same thing. There's no difference between how this goes and how the others go. Quote, the recent fork occurred because all opportunities to hand the project over to the community were exhausted, and because is unwilling to make it decentralized in any way. Pause. So this seems to indicate there was some sort of a fork. Now, I had speculated that something certainly did change, and I speculated that the rpc.blockdag.work still works. And then there was this directive to go to rpc.bdagscan.com, which made no damn sense. And yet on the site, it says staking.blockdag.engineering, which doesn't work, but the other RPCs were still functional. But the fact that there allegedly is a fork is interesting to me. Was there a fork? If there was a fork, is that what's driving this so-called, quote, new BDAG? Is it that is reacting to what he thinks is a compromised coin? and a compromised chain? I don't know. All I said was you cannot have two coins on one blockchain that are serving gas. It's not possible. You can't. If you make one of them a token, sure, but then at that point, it's a Ponzi scheme. We still don't really know what happened. It's possible this post in Telescam gave more information about the fork. It's possible somewhere else in Telescam they talked about the fork. If anybody has information, please, CryptoTalk.fm, hit the contact form or comments below. Let us know. We'll do what we can in terms of analysis without going to Telescam. Quote, Jeremy stated that creating a new token on the same network is incompatible with decentralized blockchain protocols, would disrupt the existing tokens, and would not be accepted by major exchanges. Pause. First of all, we have to analyze why Jeremy, allegedly the one leading the charge here, is referring to it as a token. Because if it's a coin, meaning it's primary for the blockchain, we know it's used for gas. We know that much. But if it's a coin, it's not a token. So why is he saying token? Is there something Jeremy knows that he's not really divulging? We should analyze that. But more importantly, there's nothing wrong with creating a new token. There is, if you're trying to replace an existing coin with a token, that's a problem. You can do it, but it's not in of itself. It's not like you can't do it. You can, but there's other issues with this. But we don't have enough information about what he's getting at. What is it that he knows or allegedly knows that he's not divulging is the question. Quote, Jeremy will not abandon the community. He's working on building a new blockchain explorer and an RPC protocol to enable the project to be fully decentralized. And he's asking the community to help him free it from control and complete it together. Stop. So this is the end. Allegedly. So creating a new blockchain explorer and an RPC protocol to enable the project to be fully decentralized. Now, neither of these things make it decentralized. At the end of the day, the chain is the chain. The RPC in of itself cannot create decentralization on the chain. If there's a fork of some kind, that has to be communicated out. Now, if there was a fork and let's say everybody at a point was snapshotted, same as what Pulse Chain did off Ethereum, where they snapshotted what everybody held on the prior, that should be communicated out. Because presumably they hold control over it, so you can't do anything about it if that's the case. The question is that the case? And if it is the case, what do you have to hide? I said before, I had done a staking transaction, and then after I checked it again, it had rolled back. And this was me testing the staking because I had to keep doing coverage on it. But the transaction I did, it rolled back. That's how I knew something had changed at the chain level. I'm just not sure what it is. Even now, I'm not sure what it is or was. All I'm saying is, if there was a fork, did they fork it snapshot like Pulse Chain? If they did that, then that assumes everybody has the same quantity they would have had in the wallet. It doesn't make people who left it, inside unclaimed. It doesn't make them whole. You still got the people who believe these billions of coins are real when they're not, and they won't listen. And there's not much you can do with them because they won't listen. But you can make the people on the exchanges whole. Now, the flaw is, what do you do about the exchanges? Because the contract presumably would have been signed. In fact, we saw one because dumbass Nick had shown one on screen. And by the way, that exchange never went live. I forget which one it was, but it never went live. And I'm pretty sure that's because he showed the fucking contract. But the contracts that were signed from a different org. So it's possible the exchanges are going to basically tell you to kick rocks. You could go with something forked and then just not call it BDAG. You probably could. I don't see a problem with that. There's a couple of exchanges chains out there like that where they forked off something else, called it something different. Did they thrive? No. But my point is this. I'm not trying to dismiss what's being claimed. I don't know if it's legit. I don't know if it's real. I don't know what is or isn't. Because again, if there is a fork, and if they did a snapshot to create the fork, because anybody can fork a blockchain, so that's not a problem. The issue is, it's basically asking people to trust Jeremy, who was aligned with somebody else who ended up scamming a project. Okay, so that's one. And it's presumably, if Nick's involved, we already know he's lied countless times. And the both of these people partnered up with a guy who stopped paying their colleagues. So essentially stabbing them in the back, because it was told, and I don't know how legit this is, but it was told that Nick was sleeping on Turner's floor at one point, and then it stabbed him in the back as Turner was getting fired and took his position only to get stabbed in the back himself. I'm saying, if you're going to sleep with this trash, which is what they're asking you, you're being asked to sleep with trash. You're being asked to sleep with people that are the shadiest motherfuckers around. I can't tell you what to do. I'm breaking it down because that's what's being asked. What's being asked is that you trust people who already have shown a pervasive pattern of not being trustworthy, regardless of why. That's why I can only chuckle about some of this crap. And I maintain everything I see is just somebody doesn't know what they're doing. And if it's true, okay, there's an intent to basically keep everything going to the site. Suppress all progress. Is that to buy time for something? Why would you want the price to keep staying down? I see something where they just think they can build all the stuff and they don't need those third-party services. Over lofty. Remember, they started with a UTXO vision that was way off rocker. Over lofty, unrealistic, pie in the sky stuff that was not close to what you were initially promised. And that's the problem. And the persistent lies throughout as they shifted strategy. Everything comes to this now. All I can say, if Jeremy and or Nick hear this, and remember, Nick reached out and he never responded because I might have been able to help the dude, but he never responded. When I offered him to come on the show and chat it out for you guys, he didn't respond. That could have been his opportunity to lay it to rest once and for all about what's going on. That opportunity's still there for Jeremy, Nick, both. I don't really care. That rhymes. That opportunity's there. Just understand, I'm going to ask tough questions. And I'm at a position I won't be taken down, but I'm going to ask tough questions. Then some people may not like the questions I ask, but I have to ask them because I think the community deserves to know. Now is the time, if you really are serious about that shit, now is the time for you to step up about it. Don't hide and tell a scam. Both of you have a negative pattern. You have both lied. You have both misrepresented. You stabbed your colleagues in the back. You partnered with somebody who stopped paying them. Everything I'm saying is documented. Everything I'm saying is admitted by those people. I've already done countless coverage about it. So you laid in the bed, to use the term. You did. If you legit are trying to do it straight and narrow, the gauntlet's down. I'm not going to force shit. I'm just telling you, if you accept it, CryptoTalk.fm, hit the contact form. But understand, I will ask tough questions. I do not softball because the community deserves to know what the fuck is going on.